On today's show, it's the anniversary of the original Yeah Mike game against the Clippers in the bubble. We'll talk about that. Also, a mock expansion draft, and the great Marc Stein makes his DNBA show debut. All that coming up on the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Don't do the show before the show, Adam.
I think this one we have to do the show before the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets podcast. Let's go. We are here in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Got a great show for you guys today. Here on this Wednesday, I'm Harrison Wynn, joined by Adam Morris.
What's up, everybody? Sitting in this seat today feels really different, but feels good. Feels right.
Yeah, don't you normally sit there? Where do you sit?
I don't remember. When there's three people, is it over there?
Yeah, but three people, it's kind of, you switch it up.
I feel like you're in the same spot you are.
I look smaller than you guys, which is great because of the angles, which I love.
Great for you. Also joined by D-Line Co.
That's right, guys. I'm always where I am here. Yeah, sort of
are you the least movable person on the show? You never change?
He's never sat on this side, that's for sure. He's never sat over here.
No, but Brandon Spano once tried to tackle me, and he bounced off of me.
Would you
great
say you're
image to think
girthy?
I would say that I have a low center of gravity.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you got a lot of girth. Guys, we got a great show. As I was just saying in the cold open, Marc Stein will be on the show a little later talking with Adam Morris about the Nuggets offseason.
Are you talking about ALLCITY's Marc Stein?
ALLCITY's Marc Stein.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The GOAT, the great Marc Stein.
Awesome.
Can't wait to hear that. We'll also do a little mock expansion draft because there was some expansion talk from Adam Silver recently. We're getting closer to expansion. Closer and closer.
They should absolutely expand and just not go to Seattle. just keep doing it. Like, just go to like another ridiculous.
George Karl would be so pissed.
Tallahassee. We're like, really? I don't know.
We're gonna put another team in LA. Actually,
that's the move.
Third team in LA. Let's get to some news and notes first, though, guys. Look, I think there's a preseason game in 3 weeks.
Is that how quick it is?
Not the Nuggets preseason. They're not the first game, but they're like the third game or something. Yeah,
they're not. I thought they were the first one.
I don't think they're technically the first one. I don't think they are.
That's crazy.
But there is a preseason game in about 3 weeks, and guys are coming back into town.
Oh, it's that time.
It's that time of year. A new guy, a new player is back in town. Vlatko Cancar back in Denver.
Welcome, Vala.
Dude, look at the rehab. Clearly went well. Look at that mustache.
Dude, in all sincerity, you're joking, but look at how he does look thin. I mean, we're on Muscle Watch 2024.
Yeah.
He looks good. When he came back and played in the Olympics, he was clearly like fresh off the injury, very hobbled. It's weird to say, but it has been 2 months since we saw. He was in the qualifier.
Yeah,
2 months.
He wasn't actually in the real Olympics.
In the real Olympics, he was just in a qualifier. Maybe more than 2 months is a long time. Like,
it is.
I'm actually really excited to have him back this early. I'm excited for him to be around, and I'm excited to see him play.
He really is the Christian Bale of the Denver Nuggets. Like, his body just changes all the. Like, he's the most muscular guy we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He's injured, whatever. Vlatko, we salute you. We're happy you're back.
I feel like we haven't talked about Vlatko a ton on this show.
It's because of that qualifier where he looked like he couldn't walk.
Yeah, it was really bad. Well, he just looked like he couldn't play also.
I know. But that was 2 months ago.
That's old stuff, man.
Was it more than 2 months? Do you remember when it was? Let me think.
June?
It was after the finals because Luka was in the finals.
Yeah,
so it was
late,
July. Yeah,
late
so it was
June,
2 months.
early July, about 2 months ago. I mean, what are realistic expectations for Vlatko? Because there are some people who on Nuggets Twitter who think he could be in the rotation day one. I'm not one of those people. I don't expect him to be in the rotation right off the bat, but I definitely think he'll be a needed contributor at some point. I mean, what are realistic expectations, do you guys think?
It's funny because I'm saying this about Hunter Tyson. I'm saying it about Zeke Naji. I'm saying it about almost everybody except for Jalen Pickett. That I honestly think everybody gets a chance this year because there's not that many players. And because, as we've discussed ad nauseum here, the Nuggets and Michael Malone knows he has to kind of open the rotation this year to allow more opportunity. So I think he will play. And the thing is, a guy coming off injury, him and Vlatko share one thing, and that both of them have played really well right before disaster, so they never have had full momentum. I think Vlatko's good. I think he's a good player. I think he's a serviceable and useful player to the Nuggets in this rotation. It's just he's been out for a year, and he's never really had a consistent opportunity. So I don't know if it happens this year. I just know he's good enough to if he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's a pretty standard story in the NBA is that there are – everybody, is very talented in the NBA, and it's just that guys get hit with unfortunate circumstances. Vlatko's like Zeke's, like we've said this a million times about a lot of guys. It's like they get to a place, they get in a rhythm, they start to show you what they can do, and they get hurt. Something sidelines them, something knocks them off their path of the rise that they're on. And Vlatko, we've seen this a few times. He's been very useful for the Denver Nuggets at various points, but then he's also been, just there a lot. But I mean, I'm with you, obviously, like we've seen it. Like I'm just a big, like once I see it, I believe it guy. And Vlatko has shown us his abilities, not only with the Nuggets, but obviously with Team Slovenia, not this year, but in years past. Like he and Luka were lighting it up. Like that was the 1B of Slovenia alongside Luka like a couple years ago.
He was legitimately good in a lot of those games.
He was kind of the Robin to
totally
Luka's Batman.
He totally was. So yeah, no, I think it's
ago.
And he's obviously a guy I suspect that they were counting on to be sort of like utility 4-5 last year, and
absolutely,
without him being there, like really caused problems for the Denver Nuggets with that backup 5 position.
Yeah, it's the Nuggets front court is kind of crowded, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's a bunch of tweeners.
Well, there's just a bunch of guys, but it's like DeAndre Jordan, veteran, Vlatko, injured, getting back to health. Zeke, is he good? Deron Holmes injured.
So late.
I hope Vlatko plays. I think he's good, like you. Is Dario Saric just kind of like a better version of Vlatko, though?
A little bit. They are different, and the whole hope would be that they play together and they have their own version, a successful one of Balkan Buddy Ball, which I think is on the table.
Here we go.
Why not?
I mean, you're just bringing up old stuff.
I know.
We're trying to reclaim, old negative things. We're trying to reclaim them. And then the injury front of this thing, man, like... The one thing we do know, to your point about Vlatko being Christian Bale, it's not easy to gain and lose weight at it's
pretty easy to gain weight, let me tell you.
Not the type of weight he gained. He didn't gain like donut weight. He gained like somehow Arnold Schwarzenegger weight.
It's tough to gain good weight.
He was the size of a refrigerator by his own description. But to me, I honestly think like an ACL tear is an injury that has like a 5-month range, like it can be on the short end or the long end. I just would bet on it like him being healthy because he's a worker.
Have either of you torn a ligament or
no
quadricep tendon?
You've the tendon?
Yeah.
Is that the Kawhi injury?
Yeah.
I do
and
not,
Tony Parker.
Yeah, I don't have any experience with this.
Never came back.
What is the pain level like?
I've torn my meniscus and my MCL in my left knee.
What is the pain level like with stuff like that? I mean,
totally different. In the moment, you almost don't feel it because the adrenaline, but then the pain is severe.
Mine hurt really bad
afterwards.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it linger?
Yeah, and then the recovery is really long. Like just as you think like you'll feel structurally sound and everything, and then you'll go out and walk, and then like you'll come home and all of a sudden you'll be sore for 5 days.
The one thing I'll say is that it's different. Like for me, mine never has come back.
Right.
That happened at age 33, and that was the end of my competitive portion of my basketball career. But it never came back.
Career ender.
I mean, I still play. I just suck now. But it's like because I never rehabbed it. This is a professional athlete who's highly motivated and stuff. So I almost feel like you can't compare that.
Yeah,
only the immediate hurting part.
My question is like I just don't know. You hear things, but you just don't quite understand like what it means. Like I know what it feels like to tear a muscle. Like that soft tissue stuff, like that hurts a lot when somebody, has a problem with their hamstring or something, you're like, I can relate to that. But I just don't know, like, if it's just more mental, you don't feel as stable, so it like kind of.
Well, it can be different for everybody, as we've seen with Nuggets ACL injuries.
Yeah.
Like Jamal Murray, it took him. I mean, circumstances of the season kind of made it that way, but he needed a while to come back. Like, and the final hurdle for him was the mental side of it.
Right.
You know.
But it sounds like pain is obviously a very big portion of it.
But I don't think I would guess he's not experiencing any pain.
Yeah,
at
at the
moment.
beginning, pain.
Yeah.
But then you have surgery, and I'm sure you're on the road to.
So do you think he's ahead of Zeke then? This is the real question.
To start the season?
Say Hunter, Zeke, and Vlatko. Where's the pecking order there? To start the season.
Zeke, Vlatko, Hunter.
Is that what you think?
If Vlatko was fully healthy,
Right.
100% playing at his peak level, I'd put him over Zeke. But to start the season, I'd put Zeke over him.
Yeah, you might.
I think that is correct at this moment.
Okay.
I don't think that's
The crowded but not crowded front.
Yeah, dude.
Well, here's the other thing about training camp. Who stands out at training camp? The guys who don't make mistakes. Hunter's
Yeah.
still young.
He'll make mistakes.
Zeke's mistake prone.
Yes.
Vlatko's like, he's like the 12th year senior. He's kind of like,
He doesn't
I know
make
how to do
mistakes,
this.
but he's not necessarily going to try to push the envelope.
Yeah. But as far as doing drills and stuff, I'm sure Malone's
Yeah.
like, oh, Vlatko did it right again.
Right. Here's another note. I don't know if you guys saw, Serbia basketball is going through a transformation, a changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Coach Pesic stepped down.
Shout out to the legend, man.
Shout out to the legend. I think the equivalent of like their GM and the people who are running Serbia basketball are no longer doing it. So there's a whole changing of the guard there. Our friend Marco, who we enjoyed a great dinner with on a street in Belgrade, he's a reporter in Serbia, good friend. He wrote that maybe Ogi Stojakovic could be the next coach of Team Serbia.
I think he wrote, did you read it? Because you get the translated version of it. I think he wrote advocating for it, saying he should be the guy. Which would be awesome. I've talked to Ogie about this before, by the way, too. And there's a lot of great coaches, and I know that he's so gracious and like, hey, if I was called upon it, it would be an honor. So I know that's a thing he would welcome. But
and he was on the staff for the Olympics this year. He's obviously close with Nikola Jokic.
It's kind of interesting that there's this exodus. Maybe it's just it's the end of an age, but you would think that with this the success they just had in the Olympics, it would be something that they would want to build upon.
He's so old.
Well, I mean, not just Pesic, but everybody. Like,
oh yeah, he's 75.
I mean, I understand. So maybe it's it's his cabinet essentially. Like he's.
I will say this, man, and like take this with a grain of salt because I feel like I have good insight on this, but I don't feel like I have total insight. I just have some perspective on it.
Just describe this show.
Yeah, there you go. I do feel like, and being around the Serbian Basketball Federation and to the degree I was when we were in Serbia, I do feel like it seems like there is a level of updating. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
of course.
Obviously, Pesic
Pesic has said some of that too. He's like, we need to get with the times.
And that's exactly it. So no matter, even a great, here in the NBA, a great 75 or Greg Popovich, you could say, probably his fastball is probably a little lower. You wouldn't want him running that program. And it's just natural. And I do think, you look at Ogie, he is a new age coach.
Right.
And when I say new age, I mean, he has his European background, but he's been in the NBA now for over a decade. I'm sure he brings a wealth of experience over, that could blend the stuff that Serbia is already great at with maybe some of the more updated practices of modern training.
Yeah.
No 3-hour practices.
I'm sure Jokic would like that.
No, right? Honestly, in all sincerity, like if you're a Nuggets fan, you should be rooting for Ogie to take over because Ogie would be like, "Yeah, Yoke, you don't have to run hills today after the game."
When is the first group game of the Olympics? Okay, that's when you can show up.
Yeah.
Skip training camp.
Yeah.
But shout out to Pesic, man. He's grown on me over the years. He kind of is. He does have a cool story. He won gold for Germany.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his story of seeing me at the airport. And
no, I wasn't talking about that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how it always is. There's guys. It's funny when you catch guys near the end of their time here, and you're like, "Oh, look at this adorable old man." You're like, "That was the former."
Yeah, he was
Mr.
a killer.
Universe. He won Mr. Universe. He was the biggest guy. You're like, "Oh," like George Karl. You're like, "Oh, what's this weird old fat guy?" And then you're like, "Oh, he was an NBA player." You're like, "Oh, what?"
That's so true.
Yeah. All right, let's hit a break. A lot more
crap.
on the other side, including
Oh no.
the anniversary of Yeah Mike and Marc Stein. Talking Nuggets offseason. I can't wait to hear Marc Stein's thoughts on the Nuggets. We'll get to all of that after this.
But let me tell you guys, lots changed over the years. One thing that hasn't,
turns out not.
The great taste of Miller Lite.
Dude, I could go for an MLATM, dude.
So you talking my language right here, man. It was the original light beer, and to this day, it's still the best one.
I think so.
Miller Lite has more of the taste that you want and less of the stuff you don't. I love a good light beer. Light beers, football Sunday.
God, my God, dude. The greatest.
Like a breakfast beer, even.
I'm telling you, sometimes you run into people that think more highly of themselves because they are beyond the light beer portion of their life.
Yeah.
They are so misguided.
So
light
true.
beer is delightful on a football Sunday or on just a tough Monday commute to work.
Commute to work.
A commute beer. That's a new one.
Maybe not necessarily
Walking.
Heard of a lot of different types of beers. Shower beer.
It is so true, though, man. Just nice, crisp,
commute
cool,
beer.
refreshing.
Dude.
Times change, but you can always enjoy the great taste of Miller Lite. Tastes like Miller time. To get Miller Lite delivered right to your door, visit MillerLite.com/DNVR. We have our own Miller Lite website.
I love it.
You like that? MillerLite.com/DNVR, or you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer.
It's just
true.
Literally anywhere.
The website is just pictures of us passed out in different portions of the bar that we've all captured of each other.
Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories per 12 ounce. You know I love that.
Beautiful.
You do love that. Also, check out Bet365 Never Ordinary. Tons to bet on at Bet365 this time of year, including the Denver Broncos, who are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 3-point underdogs.
I can't believe we took us this long to get to hot
Sunday.
NFL talk.
I
on
know,
this show.
finally. 15 minutes into the pod. Download the Bet365 app. Use the code DNVR365 when you sign up. You can choose between two offers. The bet and get offer, place a bet of $5 or more, get $200 in bonus bets. Or the first bet safety net offer, place a bet up to $1,000. If your qualifying bet loses, you get a match refund and bonus bets. Are you guys taking Broncos +3?
Yes.
Man, I'm so gun shy.
I'm not.
I'm not taking
Home
it. but
opener? Are you kidding me? In the Valley of Bo? Dude, listen.
The
We
Valley
are
of Bo.
we are about to witness the start of something new and special.
Wow.
I'm telling you, brother. Like,
Speak it, baby.
I saw
Will
it.
it? I want this
see
to
it. He's got it,
Did you
man.
have a vision?
That man, no, he's got it. Like I was
When
bullish
he has
on Drew
visions,
Lock.
he usually does this
because I
gesture.
didn't.
Do you notice?
It was just unfair that he got, again, hot NFL talk. Yeah. hot NFL talk.
Yeah.
I think Drew Lock's, or not Drew Lock. Oh boy, I think Bo Nix got it. Like, if the name Drew Lock can't work out as an NFL quarterback, then Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Can't. Those are two names you could cut paper with.
I like it. It is a good name. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Colorado.
Break
Please
rod.
gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're back here in the Toyota Lounge. You guys are hanging out in the Toyota chat. Quick reminder, our 3-on-3 tournament at the Basketball House is coming up on October 5th.
Adam's already admitted he's hobbled and is no good anymore. This is where you can take
The
advantage of
excuses
it
are already
publicly.
flying
So here's
from
the
this
thing.
group.
I
Oh my
haven't
God.
played basketball in like 2 months.
here it
Here's the thing.
comes.
I haven't played basketball
Here
in
it
like 2
comes.
years.
Should I start playing now and ramp up to that, or just come in completely cold?
I'm going to need some ramp up.
It-
I
You-
gotta
well,
ramp up. I don't want to pull anything.
The way to figure that out is just to decide how many things you want to pull or tear.
0 is my goal.
Okay, well then maybe start.
But in
now.
all sincerity, man, I get a little competitive, so I can't wait to get out there. Some people are like, "I thought you said you were good, Adam." Oh my God, they're gonna be in a world
Don't
of pain,
poke the
baby.
bear.
Don't poke the bear.
or
That should be. If you guys want to sign up, if you're local in Denver, if you want to come into town for it, thednvr.com/events. I think it's $50 for teams,
Yep,
and then
15.
you can sign up individual as well. We've already had people sign up as free agents and
I gotta think it's gonna
form
end
their
up
own
on
teams.
Bet365 too. The odd. What are the odds?
Minus 6,000
we're definitely the favorites
by far.
I don't know how steep the favorites we are. I stumbled upon this morning. 4 years ago today, Yeah Mike was born. The original Yeah Mike shot was 4 years ago today.
This blows my mind.
This is staggering in so many ways. I don't understand it. Time is relative.
Yeah.
Time is unreal. it doesn't make sense, but obviously the timeline was knocked off kilter when the world shut down. The bubble happened at not a time that when basketball is typically played. The other part of this, I think you all can sort of figure out that it's a very weird day to share.
But that happened on 9/11? Who the heck remembers that?
I had no recollection of that.
I feel like we would have known. We
forgot.
We did forget.
We forgot.
Told ourselves we wouldn't forget, but we did. But we've had 3 anniversaries since then, and not even at that point have we ever connected the dots that this was a 9/11 shot.
And it was Michael Porter taking it.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah. Mike. It's your pinned tweet.
Yeah, Mike.
This is you.
This is your pinned tweet.
September 11th, 2020.
I forgot.
We got to hold you accountable.
Again, we said we never would. We did forget. Listen, man, it was a big moment for a variety of reasons.
I did a little trip down memory lane. Quick recap of Game 5. Quick recap. Clippers up the whole first half.
Well, of course, yeah.
Up 16 late in the second quarter.
All 3 games they were.
Then Markieff Morris tells Paul Millsap, get ready to go the F home.
Yeah, I remember that.
Then we have that image.
Okay.
Paul Millsap and him go chest to chest.
I've never seen it from this angle, I'll be honest.
This is the best angle.
I just never seen this. Mark Davis there like a referee. Doesn't he look like he's like a boxing official?
All right, guys, break it up. Go to your corners. Nuggets up 102-100 with 1:16 left. Again, they're down 3-1. Do or die game. Offense stalls out. Jokic passes to Michael Porter on the right wing. You can tell he thinks about it for a second.
Consults someone deep inside.
Lou Williams is guarding him. Jokic is like, what are you doing? He has his arms out like that.
The all-time Jokic.
Yeah.
It's honestly the #1 Jokic. Like, what the hell? We're down 3-1.
MPJ shoots it and makes it, and then afterwards says something just told me to shoot it.
Yeah. You even forgot one piece of context.
What's that?
Wasn't it the night before, the game before, that Michael Porter went to the podium?
Yes.
A lowly nobody, and was like, basically, Murray Adeoye needs to pass the ball more?
After game 4, he said, we need to get more people involved in the offense.
And then he takes that shot, trains it. That's the all-time.
And it was like the most amazing, impressive thing. And then he went on live to decry vaccines shortly thereafter. It was a weird time, man. We had a lot of weird stuff going on.
Is that the #1 Michael Porter shot?
There was the first Michael Porter step back that he did.
That giant side step.
That we all were like, holy smokes.
Against Indiana.
Yeah.
But this might be.
Yeah, this was
he had the 3 against Portland in the playoffs.
Where Melo was in the
No, it's Zach Collins yelling at him. I think.
Well, no, it was behind, but Melo, he shot it over Melo.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
which was beautiful because we got like that unbelievable shot. You're right. That's the top 3 for me.
There's
those 3.
the Sombor in against Greece, and now there's the Mike.
Yeah.
What's Jamal Murray's signature?
He's had several.
He's had so many.
He's had a lot, dude.
He's
got a lot. I mean, there's the shot.
Honestly, it's Game 5. What are we talking about? He ended a series with a jumper.
That was incredible.
At this moment, that's got to be
and it was the
ultimate.
Second of that series.
Yeah, that's probably it.
It really was Game 2 until it was Game 5.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Don't even mention that he
actually Game 2 was a way
Michael
better
Jordan
shot
for a
yeah, you're right.
Stretch.
Game 2 is the more iconic feeling one.
Also because a buzzer beater where the buzzer goes off when the ball is in the air
there's nothing like it.
Is a little better.
There's nothing like it.
Than Game 5 when there was still a little time on the clock.
That's a great point.
Yeah. But they were still both great.
I hope we get that Mike, though. You know, if that game happened today, would he take that shot?
Yeah.
You think he would?
Yeah, Mike.
I don't know, man. I think he has become significantly more gun shy. That was the epitome of like, we've got to be careful if you pass it to him because you don't know what he's going to do. But again, it was.
You don't think he has more confidence in just like, I know he's talked about and like he's fit very well into this role as the third offensive option guy, but you don't think he has more confidence just in himself and in his standing within the Nuggets to take that shot now?
I don't know if it's about confidence, to be honest with you. That shot is like 6-year-old confidence.
That was like baseless confidence.
Yeah, like that was a horrible shot.
It was.
That's a terrible shot.
Would Dame Lillard take another half-court shot to tie up a series?
Even that one's more controlled.
It was a bad shot.
I do wish, though, we get a little bit more of that, Mike, because I do miss him.
Do you remember how you named it the Yeah Mike shot?
Yep. You want me to tell the story?
Please.
So after, I think, the Indiana game where we got his first iconic shot and celebration, the Nuggets were in the dressing room.
This is the regular season.
In the locker room, and they were all dumping water on him and like celebrating him having a good game, sort of a coming out party. And Gary Harris was like standing on the side going, "Yeah, Mike! Yeah, Mike!" And it like tickled me so deeply. I thought it was so funny. Yeah, Mike! Because he was like smirking the whole time.
Yeah.
And so then I just was saying, "Yeah, Mike," offhandedly, like whenever he would do something. And then we made this stupid meme of, and like at first,
Can you scroll down on that? Cal?
Yeah, I just made this stupid meme. Like we were sitting here, and when it was like something told me to shoot it, and like I just put Mike, and then you actually were suggested we make this, and then I just put Yeah Mike there. And then that was it.
I'm telling you, Mike does have that literally on his shoulder. He has an angel and a devil. And one of the angel is just telling him, "Yeah, Mike," nonstop.
That was so fun though. Like then the internet like caught on fire.
Yeah.
There was a million Yeah Mike.
And the devil is telling him, "Yeah, Mike," half the time.
Yeah, dude. No, the devil's like, "Yeah, Michael." Yes, Michael.
Oh man. I hope we get some more Yeah Mikes this year.
Dude, I think we are.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get, all my predictions are starting to get a little more optimistic.
Okay, I love it, dude. We're getting out of the dark time of the year, which for Adam, which is the summer. Now we're getting back to optimistic Adam now that things are falling apart.
Okay.
Things were a little too bright lately.
My last note here, B-Ball Index put out the top 10 best help side rim protectors.
Yep.
Top 10 helpers in rim protection. Number 1 is Peyton Watson.
That's unbelievable. Oh, better than Giannis.
Better than
Salty
Aldama.
Zion Williamson. Better than Sam Hauser. What do we think of this list?
This list is hilarious, honestly.
is.
Like, I don't feel like it's actually doing the job it sets out to do.
Nonetheless, it should have just put the first 2 out there.
It really is like what it is discrediting this as a thing. It's like when you come together a stat and you're like, the number 1 guy in the history of the NBA is Carmelo Anthony or whatever. You're like, oh, this is a bad stat.
Nonetheless, like, here's the thing, man. He's not fully formed yet. And this is what it makes me think of, Wind. What is his best role? Is it actually to be the AG? Like, I don't think he's a power forward, but could he be a guy that is just like constantly a low man defensively? Offensively, he can play the dunker, and his athleticism is really his skill set. And there's molds of players that are like that, and it might be him. Like, he might actually make the rim protection for Denver this year meaningfully better.
Yeah.
And that metric probably doesn't mean anything, but that's what I think of PWAT.
Listen, man, like number 2 on that list won an NBA title through weak side defense. He blocked DeAndre Ayton at the rim to win an NBA Finals. It's like a very, very valuable thing. And Peyton Watson is better than Giannis Antetokounmpo. I don't know how this is measured, whatever, but I do think that this is telling. Like, it's actually meaningful for Peyton Watson specifically. Like, after the game, we saw where he got, somebody corrected us online. We said 5 blocks in the game. He had 6. That's an insane number. That's an insane number.
I mean, PWAT does have some Giannis to his game.
Yeah.
Offensively and defensively, I feel like. Like, the way Giannis just dribbles into a crowd and just tries to rise up over people.
It's long arms and legs and skinny hips.
Yeah.
That's like the pivot points are, he's almost like his hips are like an owl's head. You know how an owl can do like such a big rotation?
His hips could just do a 360.
That made sense.
Adam just hitting all of his favorte things.
Forcing bird
male
references.
form corner turns into birding. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
He's got the heart of an eagle.
But he's got a lot of Giannis to his game, and he's also got a lot of Aaron Gordon to his game. And I feel like he'll be playing the Aaron Gordon role a lot this season. And
so, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
My ultimate hope with Peyton Watson is that he turns into like his 2 body comps that we give him outside of an owl is Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kevin Durant, and I hope he turns into Giannis. I hope he bulks up, become, and like he doesn't stay forever skinny, forever, girthless like Kevin Durant.
He might be. I don't think he'll be Kevin Durant, but I don't think he'll be Giannis either. But one thing I'll tell you is this is a forgotten history of last season. Do you guys remember Aaron Gordon got bit by a dog once?
Yes.
Do you guys remember this?
What have we gone? What are we doing with our lives? Everything we bring up, I'm like, oh, we were cheering on 9/11. Oh, Aaron Gordon got attacked by a dog. Oh,
we were cheering on the date 9/11. We weren't cheering on 9/11.
Clip that. That's what we were doing.
Hold on. But here's the thing. We all thought AG was going to miss like 2 weeks. He only missed 2 games. So even Michael Malone came out.
Incredible recovery.
Michael Malone came out and was like, we just need to support him. And then he was like, I'm back. And it was like, wait, what?
He recovered so quickly. We were all very comfortable with making dog biting jokes.
Right. He recovered so well that the AG celebration turned into a
everyone barking
dog
at him. Yeah, and then we just talked about how he had that dog inside him, literally.
Yeah. But what I was trying to get at is Peyton Watson got 2 starts at that point of the year. It was December 28th and 29th on a back-to-back. He scored on the first night 20 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 of 14 shooting, 4 of 10 from 3. And on the next night, he was a plus 28, by the way. On the next night, he had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Those were 2 starts in a row that he got playing the AG role, and he played really well. So it's just something to note of like...
People aren't talking about Peyton Watson enough.
So I just don't know where he fits, because I don't know where he fits in. That's my only thing with him. I hope, though.
Yeah. All right, let's hit another break. We'll talk expansion draft, and we'll hear from Marc Stein, who's making his DNVR Nuggets debut.
Why is that even a big deal? He's our coworker. Right? Would we make a big deal every time Brendan Vogt shows up?
Absolutely, definitely not. We will make a big deal, though, about this weekend. Why? It is the mile-high debut of One Bo Nix. You want to come down to our tailgate and have a good time, but more than that, you want to go to the game. And if you don't have tickets, there's one place you go. You just hop on the Game Time app.
Guess who's going to be doing everything you just mentioned?
Probably this guy right here. That is your move, huh? You always do this at the tailgate. You always hop on and buy a ticket.
You'll see D-Line over there in the corner on his phone. He's like, oh, he's on the Game Time app. He's scrolling for tickets.
I'm texting my ex.
Game Time's great for buying last-minute ticket deals. It really is a good strategy, especially if you're flexible, just to hop on at the last second, see what the prices are at the very end. You can also find concerts and different events in your area. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands and thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it?
Game Time. I'll tell you though, quickly. I'm sorry. Like, if you want to, so sports are fun, right? Like that, they're a whole like thing. Like if you want to vibe your way through life, just like show up at a tailgate.
Yeah,
you don't have tickets.
Good advice.
You see if tickets
A
find
lot of
you.
times at these tailgates, people just have tickets.
They'll give them away. They're looking for somebody.
Yeah.
Like it's good to just vibe through life. Have no plan, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'll try and find a ticket once it starts. It's great.
Also, check out Premier Members Credit Union. There are a lot of financial institutions out there. Here's the one I want you to remember, Premier Members Credit Union. They're not a bank, which means they do things very differently than banks. They put their members first with higher savings, interest, and lower loan rates. They are a Colorado organization. They serve the community, the Colorado community. And with PMCU, you get local branches friendly tellers and the tools you need to save smarter, like their new high yield savings account. You can earn 5% APY on your first $2,000 with their reverse tier money market. PMCU has the tools to help you save much smarter. So when you become a new member at PMCU, you get $200, $200 automatically for becoming a new member. Just have to open a checking account and sign up for their e-statements. It's that easy. This will be your best money move yet. So go to becomepremier.com to find out more. And we're back on the DNVR Nuggets podcast here in the Toyota Lounge. There was some expansion talk from Adam Silver yesterday, and he said that sometime this season, it sounds like they're going to talk expansion for real and announce some formal stuff. we've been talking about this off and on for like the last couple of years. It still seems like they're a little ways away, but it does feel like maybe this season there's some hard news, some official statements put out about NBA expansion, maybe to Vegas, maybe to Seattle. So what I thought we could do real quick is simulate an expansion draft, because in an expansion draft, each team gets to keep 8 players. You get to protect 8 players. And then the new expansion team can kind of go through a draft, go through all the teams, and pick who they want. That's not protected. So we got a board of Nuggets players here.
Can I take the first pick?
We've got 15.
DeAndre Jordan.
I'm going to take Nikola Jokic. I think that the Nuggets should mark him as safe from the great expansion draft. By the way, the NBA has been talking about expansion for a long time.
They love talking about it.
I feel like they're waiting for LeBron to retire.
So we can just own the Vegas team?
Correct. Was this your theory? Whose theory was this that I just heard the other day? I think it's a great one.
Not mine, but I feel like I've heard it before.
But I think that's what is going on. Is they're like, all right, well, any day now, LeBron will retire and we'll give him Vegas, but he keeps not retiring.
All right. Jokic will definitely be protected, but let's talk about who we're eliminating, who we're not protecting.
Oh, boy.
Well, Jamal Murray, I think you're protecting as well. You just paid him all that money.
Jamal Murray, you're protecting
he's
the
a
entire starting 5.
You're going to protect Michael Porter unless he gets injured or, I don't know, has a bad year or something. But you're protecting Michael Porter.
You're protecting
Aaron Gordon, and you're protecting Christian Brown for sure. Yep. I think you're definitely protecting Peyton Watson.
Yep.
After that, I think it's kind of funny when you do this that it's kind of easy because Julian maybe would be on the bubble for a lot of teams, but not for Denver. I think he's
on it. We're protecting him.
So there's only one more player to protect.
That's 7, with Strawther.
Oh man,
it's actually hard to decide who to protect as opposed to who to not protect.
So we got Russell Westbrook, Vlatko Cancar, Dario Saric, Jalen Pickett, Hunter Tyson,
you probably
Zeke
protect. The
easy one
rookie.
would be De'Ron Holmes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's De'Ron Holmes. For sure
Holmes.
it is. It's De'Ron Holmes.
Coming off an Achilles?
Yeah. Now, do any of these guys get drafted then?
But that's the thing with Holmes. You got to wonder, would a team probably wouldn't take him.
You don't think?
He's out the whole first year.
Would they take Zeke Naji?
I don't know.
I mean, let's just say you're the Seattle expansion.
an Achilles is a tough injury, man.
It is, but but he's also on a rookie deal. You know, let's say you're the Seattle expansion team and you have all those guys to pick from. You probably take De'Ron Holmes, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, who else would it be?
No, I mean, the rest of these guys are Russell Westbrook.
You would take him if you're an expansion team. You need one guy that gets people.
But it's also are the Nuggets be okay, that's fine. Yeah. We'll just find another guy of that ilk. I mean, everybody is kind of like Saric, same kind of story. It's like good player that he would probably get taken by an expansion.
Saric is the guy who, if you're an expansion team, you're like, okay,
definitely
we'll give us Saric.
But if you're talking about guys you'd want to make sure you have to continue to build your friend, they want a new place wants young guys that they can build something for the future with. So
young guys in Westbrook.
Jalen Pickett breakout.
Jalen Pickett on a rookie deal.
On a rookie deal. I mean, he probably doesn't get picked.
Yeah, but I think this would be the 8.
And I don't know if Denver gets anybody taken from him, man. Honestly, maybe a Saric, but I don't know. Maybe Zeke Naji.
Maybe a Hunter Tyson.
Have you looked at this for other teams? Who? I'll bet you there's teams out there the Clippers might be it, where Bones is probably not in the top 8. You take him for sure. There are teams out there that have Houston Rockets definitely have a 9th guy that is pretty good.
Well, listen,
I think the Celtics,
depending upon the way that
the Celtics are top heavy,
but depending upon the way you do this, the NHL recently did this. They messed up the rules the first time and created a juggernaut in the Golden Knights that arrived and just immediately was contending for the Stanley Cup, and then they amended those rules, and then the Kraken came and they just kind of stumbled out of the gate, then beat the Avalanche, but it wasn't as clear of a just show up and be good.
Yeah. So that's probably it. It would probably be Holmes.
Yeah.
Even though he's out for the whole year. But
he's young enough, guys. Hungry. I like De'Ron Holmes, man. It's an underrated bummer that he's not around. Not just because of the play, but I just think we would have liked him, man. He seems like a good dude.
He does seem like a good dude, yeah.
Maybe he'll come on the show.
Are you guys excited at all about expansion?
No.
I'm not really either.
I want the Supersonics to be a thing again. I do want that.
Just because it's a cool brand.
It's cool. The whole thing's cool. It's
Seattle's
like,
cool.
Yeah, it's like that's
hotbed.
and that makes a lot of sense to activate that part of the country even more so. It's silly that Portland's the only team representing the Pacific Northwest.
That's good take.
Everything else is like I'm like basketball. It should be Vegas probably. They've shown that
they're a big city now.
Well,
they support.
And for us, like that would like every time we played Vegas, we'd figure out some way to make a trip around it. And have everybody come. Like, speaking of which, if you have an idea of a trip you'd like to take.
Oh, yeah. What if we did a little road trip this year?
We're talking about we're
in an RV.
No,
No.
We're kicking around the idea of putting together a travel trip to go to a Nuggets away game during the season. If you have places that sound interesting to you, let us know. We're still noodling on this.
Noodling.
That's like when you're playing guitar and just kind of riffing. You're just kind of
Yeah,
noodling.
that's what we're doing. We're like all trying to figure out, does it make sense to go to Orlando?
Dude, you're from Boulder. You don't know about noodling?
Do people want to go
I've
to
never
Disney
heard
World?
it called noodling.
Man, what kind of Boulderite is he?
Your noodle? You're using your noodle?
Oh, all right. I'll add it to the vocabulary. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see. I'm sure we'll be getting some more news on expansion and this sometime this season. It sounds like. So we got Marc Stein.
We do the super chat before.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do the super chat. Get this out of the way first.
Who's it from?
DJ Seahawk.
Who's that?
Starters plus Russ plus Strother plus PWAT, of course, and no Kale. Fellas, I don't think we'd expand just yet. Good news, I'm almost at 40 subs. I'm be in Denver by October 1st. Sweet.
There you go.
See you in Denver, man. See ya. We got Marc Stein.
Yes.
Adam spoke with him about the Nuggets, about KCP, Jokic.
Tension in front office and coaching.
Ooh, the rumblings.
The rumblings.
Anything else you want to cue it up with?
Slovenia, man. He was in Slovenia. He's like the only American media member in Slovenia. So he's got some good story. He's a good storyteller, man.
Without further ado, let's hear from Marc Stein.
All right, we are joined now by ALLCITY's Marc Stein, DLLS Mavericks' Marc Stein, our Marc Stein. Marc, how are you doing today?
Adam Mahrez, not to be confused with Riyad Mahrez. You made that clear when I asked you, so I'm trying to get by season's end, my pronunciation will be nailed on.
I think you got it. I think you're already there, man. Better than most. I'll put you in the 95th percentile right now so far. Well, first of all, man, welcome to the team. We're excited. People don't know he is now helping anchor our DLLS Mavericks coverage, but there's more in store. You might actually see him more frequently, including on this very show, DNVR Nuggets, and perhaps some other ones to be announced here very soon. But before we get into any of that, you were recently in Slovenia to watch the Night of the Dragon. Incredible name, by the way. And this is a thing that happens in the Balkans, and I'm guessing throughout Europe. When a high-profile player retires, they throw an all-star game, a celebration. Is this the first one you've attended, the first sort of farewell tour all-star game that you've attended?
It is. And really what I liken it to as a long-time, old-school English soccer fan. In England and Scotland, they would call this a testimonial. And in the old days, when I started falling in love with English football in the early 80s, this was something that would be done for a long-serving player, and it would be a retirement game for the player to basically get the gate and be the recipient of, we're sending you off to retirement with a pile of cash, basically.
Oh, wow. To get the icy, yeah.
A player retires and, spends a long time with the club. They have a game in his honor, and he would get the gate receipts. That's the way it was done in the old days. This was the modern version of a testimonial. This was Goran Dragic throwing the party himself. Huge event, 2-day event. There was a business seminar on Friday afternoon before the game. There was a huge gala. And the gala was actually televised on national TV in Slovenia on the most publicly accessible channel in Slovenia. So this was like prime time viewing Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Your guy Jokic was not there for the gala, but everybody else pretty much was. And the gala was a big deal. Star-studded affair, musical performers, everybody's in fancy dress, and it was a huge deal. And then the game Saturday night. And this was really something Dragic put on for charity. So, yeah, I'd never been to any, and this is crazy. You know, it was right around the time. My very first article on the NBA was in 1989. I was still in college. I was filling in as a part-timer at the Orange County Register. I was covering Summer League. It was the summer of my first Summer League. And a story came across the wire on a Saturday that the Yugoslavian army was not going to let Vlade Divac join the Lakers. The Lakers had just drafted Vlade Divac. So they said, okay, Stein, you want to cover Summer League? Guess what? You get to call Jerry West at home and get a comment on this story. And I was terrified. And though this is, again, this is 1989. There's no cell phones. There's no Twitter. There's no internet. You call the person at, there's a phone list, an office phone list with the phone numbers. And so I had to call Jerry West at home and get a comment and write this story. So this summer was 35 years since that first story, but I had never been to any Balkan country. And it was something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. What I really want to do is I want to go to all the Balkan countries and just spend a month there seeing them all and really immersing myself in the specific basketball cultures of all these places, because I know you've been there, and it's a little bit different in Serbia or Croatia or Slovenia or whatever country we're talking about. So this was only a very short trip, but I had a blast. I had an absolute blast to go to this thing.
You just made, I think, is it 9 million Serbian fans, now wanting to go out there. And we got to get you to, by the way, we got to get you to the Derby, Partizan versus Red Star. It'd be like if the Lakers and Celtics both shared New York City, right? If they both were right across the Hudson from each other. But so we got to get you out there to watch one of those. But I want to go back because I had no idea about this 1989 story, and I'm fascinated by it. That year, do you know this? That same 89, Divac came over, and so did Petrovic. It was the same year. And I believe Dino Raja was right behind them as well. So it was kind of a big year when we talk about the first wave.
My first Summer League.
Yeah.
Divac, Alexander Volkov from the former Soviet Union. I want to say was Marshallonis might have been there. I'm less sure about that because my memory sucks.
Yeah.
But Zarko Paspai definitely was part of that group. So, and I was really lucky. I had the chance through some previous overseas travel to see the unified Yugoslavian team play. And I always say that is the best team that we never saw in the United States. When they were all playing together, Petrovic, Divac, Kukoc, Paspai, all these guys, Djordjevic, on and I mean, they were so good. And so that was kind of my entree into getting to do the Summer League. In those days, beat writers did not want to do Summer League, and definitely beat writers who were covering the Lakers and going into June every year of the 80s. None of these guys wanted to do Summer League. So I was a college kid, and I spent a year begging this incredibly nice editor, Robin Romano. She loved hoops. She was very nice to me. She put up with me just badgering her for a year. Please, please, please let me go to Summer League. And so when the 89 Summer League came, they did let me do it. David Robinson was with the Spurs. I mean, it was a great Summer League, and just I was in heaven. And again, these are the days when this was at Loyola Marymount. Very little media, very little fans, no television, nothing like what Summer League is now. So I was truly blessed to have that opportunity to cut. I think Vlade only played one game that summer, but incredible opportunity for me.
So if somebody someday, and maybe this is me down the road, will write the history of the European influx in basketball, and I think 1989 would be one of the first and one of the most important chapters because it was so big, and it's wild to think it's where you got your start. But that story the most recent chapter includes Nikola Jokic and Luka Doncic, two of the most important guys. So they were obviously attending this. Luka, Slovenian, Jokic, Serbian. Just tell me, what were those two guys like? And obviously, let's start with Jokic. What was his presence like there? Because I feel like if this would have happened even 3 years ago or so, Luka, Jokic, maybe right here just in terms of international, but was he the star? Was Luka the star other than Dragic this weekend? What would you say?
What I would say is Jokic was the life of the party. Like during the game, he was Mr. Personality. And it's funny, I was actually, the only downside of this trip for me was, and this is not a downside, it was an incredible thing, but like, I really wanted to get out and see Ljubljana. And the problem was I got there on a Thursday night, so 2 nights before the game. My first half hour there, I saw Chris Bosh, Andy Ellisberg from the Heat's front office, Bill Duffy, the NBA power agent, then Nash Nowitzki rolled in, like, and I was like, I'm never leaving this hotel. Like, I mean, this is just, Dragic is so well loved by so many former teammates and coaches that he just attracted a superstar guest list to this thing. Kevin McHale made the trip all the way over. Like it just, so I was not leaving the hotel because every 5 minutes I ran into somebody else. But on Saturday afternoon, like I said, Jokic was not there on the Friday night. On Saturday afternoon, I was in the lobby. I was visiting with Josh Richardson, one of Dragic's former Heat teammates, huge soccer fan, talking soccer with Josh Richardson. All of a sudden, Jokic just shows up 3-4 hours before game time, duffel bag in hand, and in classic Jokic form, as you would expect, huge warm greeting for Josh Richardson. Not as excited to see the scribe next to Josh Richardson.
Hey, you and me both, man. Join the club.
But like I said, once the game started, I mean, you saw it. Like, it wasn't 2 minutes into the game where he threw the oop to himself off the board, which was shocking.
Of course.
And he was in great spirits the whole night. I'm sure you've seen the clip of him, pouring water all over Luka, and he's a character. And I think in those settings, especially, those guys, all the players from those countries, they are so fond of each other, and I really think they love being together, hanging out. I mean, you mentioned Partizan and Crvena Zvezda, Red Star. The night before there was a party, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Luka, Vucevic, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and maybe Dragic. I'm forgetting who the fourth. And like they were kind of arguing amongst themselves who's the Partizan fan, who's the Red Star fan.
Do you know, by the way? Do you know where the allegiances are?
Yes. Let me see if I can remember it. Bogdanovic is definitely Partizan.
He played for Partizan, so he's definitely
Vucevic
Partizan.
and Luka are Red Star fans.
I believe that's correct.
God, I hope I do not want to mess this up.
Of course you don't.
I better not guess. But I think, didn't Dragic also play for Partizan?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I can look it up here.
I scratch that. I don't know. I don't want to guess. So 2 out of the 3 I can tell you. I know that Vucevic is a huge Red Star fan. Luka I've always heard Luka talk about Real Madrid. Obviously, he spent years at Real Madrid before he got to the NBA. I didn't know. I hadn't heard Luka talk much before about Red Star, but on that occasion, he and Vucevic were definitely Crvena Zvezda.
I've tried to get this out of, just tried to pry to different people with Nikola, and all I'll say is the only answer I ever get is he's a fan of Mega, where he played. Yeah. So he stays neutral in that one, probably by default. Just talk about the dynamic here now of Luka and Jokic, though, because obviously, they're super close, and I think getting closer. But what do you observe of them, and what do you make of their relationship and how close they are?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can see it, that there's just a genuine fondness there. They get along great, and of course that leads everyone to wonder, will they ever play together? And it's hard for me to understand or try to imagine a scenario where one team could find a way to get both of them. But I mean, look, when you think about it, 2 of the 5 best players in the world come from such a small part of the world. So I think that's where the bond is. I mean, they're just these all-world talents from a very unique and small place on the planet. So the bond, I think you're right. I think they only get closer as pals.
So... And by the way, I just love the energy of that. Like, we were laughing here. Serbia wins the bronze medal. I think they had more fun than anybody at the Olympics. And when you look at an event, just the celebration, how happy they seem. We all saw them on the podium. Clearly had been drinking all day. You go to events like that, and I think we might have lost something in the NBA we might have lost that just enjoyment. They seem to enjoy these types of events, being around each other a little bit more than what we see over the last 10 years or so, where everybody seems a little bit bothered by this or that. But I want to move forward now and talk about the Denver Nuggets, because they've had a very interesting offseason, adding Russell Westbrook, losing KCP. We all saw Jamal Murray at the Olympics not look very good. So you talk to a lot of people around the league. What do people think? Is there a consensus opinion about Denver and whether they've improved, lost a step? Are they still a contender? What are people saying about them?
I mean, I think, is lost a step. I don't know that's the exact verbiage that would be used, but I don't hear a lot of people or see a lot of people picking them to finish with a top 2-3 seed in the West. So
really,
yeah, I mean, I am not emotionally attached to this like you are, but if I was in your shoes, I think I would be pretty dismayed. I mean, to lose Bruce Brown then KCP without compensation in back-to-back summers, it does shock people. And, we've heard the rumbles now. Zach Lowe amplified it this week on his podcast, and the rumbles have been out there that there is some sort of disconnect between coaching staff and front office. But the guy whose opinion I would love to hear is Jokic. I would love to know, and I don't know that we're ever going to get a really unvarnished take from number 15 on where he stands on all this. Had he been taking questions in Slovenia, and obviously he was not, I would have been asking him, because how he feels about this, that really to me is the question. Because I'm sorry, but it just, as someone who's an observer, someone who's obviously removed from Denver, but like you said, it is a subject that comes up when you talk to people. I mean, it looks like a team that won a championship, and they feel satisfied with that, and they're not going the extra mile, to me, to try to make it 2. And so, how does Jokic feel about that? I mean, honestly, that's A, B, and C. And
it's really the only thing that matters. I mean, everything else is so far secondary to Jokic.
I mean, your media day just got a hell of a lot more interesting with all this chatter about Michael Malone in the front office, because Michael Malone is going to get that question on media day, and he certainly will field it and certainly will answer it. But yeah, I mean, I want to know where Jokic stands on, this was a basically bottom 5 team shooting the 3 ball, and they just lost one of their best and most willing shooters, and KCP has not been replaced. I mean, where has any shooting been added to this team?
Well, only Julian Strawther, who played limited minutes last year and now gets elevated into that role, and I think he is a good shooter. But to your point, it's by far their biggest weakness, in my opinion, on the roster. They don't have a lot of depth at shooting, and so you're looking at a Murray, a Michael Porter, Julian Strawther. Those guys have to carry the 3-point shooting for the team, and they're going to be so important. But to your point earlier, though, about losing them, being satisfied, I hear that a lot from people, and I honestly don't think that's it. I think both ownership and the front office believes this is the better course of action. And again, I've disagreed with that. I think the team is better if they have KCP this year, but I'm a little more skeptical that this is primarily about money. It probably factors into it, but I honestly think that the front office looks at it and says, Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, those guys are ready. And it's smarter for us both now and going forward to position ourselves to rely on those guys than to bloat the contract with veterans. So whether you agree with that or not, there's parts I certainly disagree with, but I think it has more to do with that than being content.
Well, and that's also where it's hard to just, people, is how serious is this reported divide between coaching staff and front office? And my kind of take on that is, we need to know, is the front office structuring the roster this way because that's how Calvin Booth and his team see it?
Right.
Or are they operating under financial constraints that have been basically handed to them by ownership? And look, I'm not exactly breaking news here. The Nuggets have never been known as this swashbuckling, free spending team.
Throw money out there, yeah.
So
poorest billionaires in the NBA.
They like I said, if I were a fan, I would be dismayed at the very least. But my temperature on that would certainly, if Jokic is okay with the direction of the team, then I could talk myself into being okay with it. And it's such a mystery because, he just doesn't shed any light on these kind of matters.
Right.
And so, like I said, Nuggets Media Day is in the top 5 in terms of I want to hear all the answers, and I want to hear all the questions, and I want to hear all the answers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when we talk about this. Is my last one for you here, and just my perspective on this is that the Zach Lowe comment came on a podcast, and I think people. And it's gotten aggregated, and it's gone viral in a moment in time when there's no news. So small news becomes.
It was also in his intro. Like there was no.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
he wasn't trying to turn it into some huge news item.
Right. But my point on that was, I do not believe that there is any new update on this. This is something at DNVR we've been talking about for 6 months. 5-6 months. We've been talking about, hey, this is a real thing. The team has even, semi acknowledged it in terms of things they've said, and we're finding alignment. My belief is that. This is not growing. This is not a story that is like they're growing in separate directions, although that very well might happen once the season begins. If there's some failures, I think that schism will open up. But it is opened up as a storyline in large part because of Zach Lowe's comments, for whatever reason that it feels like it's a new story. But nonetheless, it is real. And I just wonder what you think about that. I feel in my 10 years in being in the NBA, coaches and front offices never see perfectly eye to eye. The hope is to get them as close as possible. I think Calvin and Michael Malone, in just my estimation, are further than probably anyone I've seen. But I don't think it's too abnormal for those two spots to just have different perspectives on what is supposed to happen. What do you think about that?
Well, again, I think the variable it would be easier to answer that and get a read on it if we knew, is Calvin Booth, are the Nuggets, is management making the moves they want to make? Or are they doing it because they have instructions from ownership, let KCP go for financial reasons, and there isn't clarity there? And I think if we had that clarity, that it would be easier to get a read on it. I don't think that this is going to be some sort of rift. Like on my list of concerns about the Nuggets going into the season, that wouldn't be at the forefront of the list for me. Number 1 would be the shooting. And today's NBA, it's not just making threes. It's the willingness to take them. You have to take them. You have to have willing takers. And the Nuggets are in short supply on that front. KCP was one of the few guys, and even he wasn't super high volume, but he was willing to take them. So, like I said, the Nuggets are fascinating on about 10 different levels right now, and not the kind of fascinating I think we would have expected only one season removed from a championship.
The wrong kind of fascinating. Well, the right kind of fascinating, Mark. You're a great storyteller. Everybody sees. I told you 10 minutes. We went for 25. I apologize.
But no worries, man. No, look, I even, and among the stories I've been telling this one a lot is that people ask me, like, how did you end up on this all-city thing? And I said, well, it's funny you should bring that up because I had Adam Mares on my now defunct Dallas radio show in March. We previewed the Kyrie game that Kyrie won at the buzzer with that lefty shot that's still the most insane buzzer beater I've ever seen in person.
Yep.
And after the show, I think I wasn't joking, but I wasn't exactly like I said, hey man, when you guys come to Dallas, keep me posted. And then 3 months later, you're saying, hey, we're coming to Dallas. Like I never expected it to go that quick. So it is great to be with you. I love the show you and Legler do. Legs is one of my all-time favorites. We're going on 20 years since Legs and I used to be together on a Tuesday night show on ESPN that is long forgotten called Coast to Coast that also featured Greg Anthony, Rick Bucher, and somebody named Stephen A. Smith. And so I look forward to jumping on sometime with you and Legs, and we'll tell some stories.
I look forward to it happening all year long. And again, guys, DLLS Mavs in good hands over there with Marc Stein. Mark, thank you so much.
We all silly like the mayor.